Welcome to the Real Life Wellness Podcast, the show where we explore how to create your own wellness. We dive into everything that happens on the journey to a happier, healthier, and more balanced life. I'm your host, Faith Lauterbach. As a registered nurse and a holistic wellness coach, I have a passion for empowering people to create a vision for their life, prioritize themselves, and then live the life they want. So get ready to discover new ways to nourish your body, mind, and spirit. Let's embark on this journey together and make wellness simple. Hello, and welcome to episode 3 of the Real Life Wellness Podcast. I'm your host, Faith Lauterbach, and I'm so excited you're here. I hope that you've had an opportunity to listen to my first episode. Episode 1 was all about creating a morning routine to change your life. And episode 2 is about using a word of the year to create the year that you want. Both of them are super helpful to making wellness simple in your life. And that is my goal. My goal is making wellness simple for you. It brings us to this topic today of self-care. Self-care is one of those things that I think has become a buzzword and something that feels like maybe you only do once in a while, like a spa day or a girls' night out. But it doesn't really matter where you are on life's journey. If you're a woman, a man, a kid, a teenager, self-care is not just important, but it's necessary if you want to live a life that has real meaning, joy, and is authentic to you. You know, I used to think that the only way to be a good mom, a good wife, a good daughter, a good friend was to put everyone's needs before mine. But what happened when I was doing that and not taking care of myself is I really couldn't take care of the people that I loved in the ways that I wanted to. I was left feeling bitter, resentful, because it felt like everybody else got to do what they wanted to do. Everybody else got to do what was important to them, but not me. I don't know if that feels or sounds relatable, but what I really learned was that it was not anybody's wrongdoing that was causing me to not do what was important to me. It was about the way I was creating my life. It was the way I was creating my day. I set it up in ways that didn't allow me to take care of myself. I'm not sure whose quote this is, but that quote of "you can't fill from an empty cup" was something that was so true in my life. I couldn't fill other people's cups because mine was empty. So what is self-care if it's not, this occasional pampering of ourselves? Looking at a holistic health perspective, true self-care is looking at how we are taking care of our bodies, how we are taking care of our minds, and how we are taking care of our souls. It's going to be personal to everybody. It's all going to be different. Like what is self-care for one person may not feel right for another. But the great news is that taking care of ourselves doesn't actually take a lot of time. You can create a daily self-care practice in as little as 10 minutes. In my episode 1, I talk about creating a morning routine, and along that same principle of you don't have to have this huge, long practice in order for it to be meaningful and in order for it to be true for you. So I'd like to talk about some ideas of what self-care can look like, no matter how much time or not you have in your day. And then I'd like to talk about how to develop and structure a plan for your own self-care practice. All right, so let's go over some activities that may feel like self-care to you. Again, remembering not all of these things that I list are going to feel great to you. It might not be something that resonates with you or feels like something you want to do, and that's okay. So I have several things I'll mention. So just take what makes the most sense to you from these lists. So reading a devotional, a quote, or a prayer every morning can be a really great self-care practice. And it doesn't have to just be in the morning. It could be something you read before bed. It could be something you read at lunchtime. It can go well with your first cup of coffee, though. Meditating. Meditating is a great way to add self-care into your life. I like to start with a guided meditation with an app. I use Insight Timer, which is a free app. I still use this, and I like a guided meditation. For me, that feels good to have somebody guide me through it. But you could also just take a few mindful breaths. Again, this can be done in the morning. It can be done at lunchtime. It can be done before bed or anytime. Maybe it's in the carpool line while you're waiting for your kiddos to get done with school. Listening to music. So maybe it's a song. Maybe it's your song that it's like your jam. Maybe it's from, the skating rink when you were a teenager and it just makes you feel good. Do you have a song like that? I definitely do. I grew up in the 90s, was my bit, that was like when I was a teenager. And I feel like 90s had the best music, whether you're listening to rap, punk rock, or pop music. I don't know. Tell me what you think. 90s music is my jam, though. But so, anyways, put on a song that brings a smile to your face. If you're kind of in a funk or you're feeling bad, what's a song that you could put on that just makes you laugh, makes you dance? Or having a playlist with all of your favorites. So, a way you could use this as a self-care practice would be make that favorite playlist and listen to it every morning while you're getting ready for work, or listen to it on your drive to work. Hydrating is another way to bring self-care to your life. It is amazing how much of a difference it can make when you're drinking enough water. So you could make a practice to fill up your water bottle every morning. Journaling. I love to journal. I'm a huge believer in journaling. It has worked wonders in my own life as well as my clients and even just friends and family. Something that's an easy practice is writing down 3 specific things that you are grateful for that happened in the last 24 hours. I have lots of different journal prompts, and I'll include a link in the show notes that has a blog post I wrote that has lots. I think there's 25 journal prompts. But just taking a moment to journal. Using our sense of smell can be a self-care practice. What I mean by that is finding an essential oil that you can diffuse or lighting a candle that helps you feel good. It can be really cool to pair this one with another one. So maybe it is a certain essential oil that you want to diffuse while you're meditating. Anytime we ignite our senses and what we're doing, so adding something that we can smell, a cozy blanket, soft, gentle music, like using all of our senses can help deepen our self-care practice. Taking some time to put on a face mask, paint your fingernails. Sometimes that feels really good to just do those types of self-care. Maybe it's every Sunday you take time to do those 2 things after you put your kids to bed or while your kids are taking a nap or something like that, but having a regular practice that you're doing those things that feel special to you. Hug someone. Research actually shows that hugging reduces stress hormones. So that's pretty cool. And you can hug someone in less than a minute. I would say, make sure you have their permission before you hug them. Maybe not trying that, just walking up to a stranger. All right. Grab a coloring book and color for a few minutes. It is really cool. If you haven't done this in a while, it brings a sense of calm. There's something about coloring in the lines, just making this pretty picture that helps calm the nervous system. Positive self-talk and positive thoughts. Only talk to yourself the way you would talk to a friend or your daughter or your sister. Studies suggest we have around 6,000 thoughts a day, and let's say half of them are negative. That means that we are mean to ourselves 3,000 times a day. We wouldn't put up with that from someone else, and we wouldn't allow that for someone that we loved. Okay, some other things that may take a little bit longer. Doing a workout. So maybe it's going on a hike or, a spin class or a yoga class. It makes a big difference how you feel when you're moving your body. Reading a book. Reading can really strengthen our brains and reduce stress. There's so many positive benefits that can come from reading. And I hear all the time from people, I don't have time to read. My life's just so busy, I can't read. And I will say, I agree. People do have busy lives. Most of us do. But what we make a priority is what happens. So think about where you could fit reading in. So before bed, if you're sitting in your bed scrolling on your phone, instead of doing that, read a book. You could commit to reading for 10 minutes every evening before bed. Having some awareness around what you're spending your time on can help you see where you do have pockets of time that instead of doing something on social media, or instead of checking email, maybe for the 20th time, you could do something that would help you feel better and help reduce stress, like reading a book. Grabbing a coffee with a friend. Having a regular coffee date with one of your friends is a great self-care practice. Going on a date. This can be with a partner or solo. Try having a date a week. And you can even do something like having a theme where you're using A to Z. So the first week, your date revolves around the letter A. The second week, letter B, and so on and so forth. Taking a hot bath. You can add in some Epsom salt and relaxing essential oils if you want. Taking a nap. Keeping it in between 20 to 30 minutes is where you'll find that optimal benefit. There's many meditation apps, like the one I mentioned before, Insight Timer, that have a nap feature that help you stay in that time. You could listen to a podcast. Go back and listen to episode 1 and 2 of Real Life Wellness Podcast. Or there's so many great podcasts. I love listening to a podcast. And the way you could build that into a self-care practice is maybe there's a certain podcast that you listen to when you go on a walk, and you won't let yourself listen to it any other time. So it makes it special and a treat, or you get that added benefit of going on a walk. Or maybe you listen to podcasts when you're driving to work. So giving it a regular time can help add it in as a self-care practice. Volunteering your time with an organization that feels in alignment with yourself and your values can be so good for your soul. Getting a massage. Massage has so many benefits, both physically and emotionally. Making this part of your regular practice is such a great way to show yourself that you love yourself. Making it regular. So, having a massage once a month is a great way to initiate this self care practice. Okay, I just gave you many, many different ways to show yourself love with self care. I'm sure there's lots of other ways too, but let's start with that list. And we can develop a plan that works for you. So, making it simple, again, making wellness simple is the way to make it work in your life. Again, I've said this before, but it doesn't have to be time consuming for it to be effective. You can have a self care practice that's 10 minutes a day, and it can make a big, big difference in your life. Here is how to get started. First is making it specific. Write out exactly what you are going to do for self care. So I'll give you a couple of examples. Example 1. I am going to fill my water bottle each morning while I'm making the kids' breakfast with the filtered water pitcher in the fridge. So you see, I gave that what you're going to do, when you're going to do it, and where you're going to do it. Example 2. I am going to get up 15 minutes earlier than my kids and spend that time drinking a cup of coffee and reading a book in the chair in my living room. Again, you're naming a what, a when, and a where. All right, the second thing to do to make a self-care practice is make it simple. So I believe the way to do that is make it an event in your calendar. Set an alarm as a reminder, and then set out supplies that you need. I'll give you a couple examples with what we had already talked about in the first example of filling the water bottle. Set a daily calendar event or task that says fill water bottle. Then go to your alarm function in your phone, set a reoccurring alarm to go off each morning. Name that alarm, fill water bottle. And then the evening before, have your water bottle, set it out on the counter so that it is easy to see and to access in the morning. Example 2, that was the one I'm going to get up 15 minutes earlier than my kids. For that example, the way to make it simple is set your alarm in your phone 15 minutes earlier than you normally would. Name that alarm, time to read and drink coffee. Program your coffee the night before so it's ready for you when you walk into the kitchen. Have your book where you will read it on that chair in the living room. Okay, the third step to making your self-care practice routine is be consistent. I'm going to share a few quotes. I really like quotes. I don't know about you, but I feel like they're so impactful. The first one is from John C. Maxwell. You'll never change your life until you change something you do daily. The secret of your success is found in your daily routine. The second one is by James Clear, who wrote the book Atomic Habits. If you haven't read that book yet, it's really good. I highly recommend it. He says, success is the product of daily habits, not once in a lifetime transformations. So it's really the small things that add up to the most change. When I started waking up 20 minutes early every morning back in 2017 to drink my coffee, meditate, and journal, it honestly changed my life. And it was 20 minutes. So it doesn't have to be this huge thing to be impactful, but it does need to be consistent. All right. So there we go. Self-care made simple. I shared why self-care was important, many ways, many different activities to start a self-care routine. And then we got into how to do it, how to make it simple in your life. I hope this was helpful. And I'll say that if it still feels a little foggy to you, or if you want to work out some more specific things in your life, set up a free consultation with me, and we can spend the hour setting this up on how it would work exactly the way you need it to work in your life. In the show notes, you'll find my link to schedule right into my calendar on what works for you. Again, it's a 1 hour free consultation, and we can talk about whatever you want to talk about. If it's adding self-care into your day, how to make it practical for you, that's what we'll talk about. Also in the show notes, find my journal prompts that you can use if journaling is one of the things you want to add to your self-care routine. It'll give you 25 different journal prompts that you can use anytime. I'd love to hear from you and hear what you're enjoying in my podcast, what you'd like to see more of. I appreciate you being here and look forward to next week's episode. Let me know what you think. Thank you so much for tuning in today to the Real Life Wellness Podcast. To stay updated on my latest episodes and wellness insights, be sure to subscribe to the podcast and follow me on social media. If you have any questions or topics you'd like me to explore, feel free to reach out. I love hearing from you. If you could, please review or rate this podcast on Apple or Spotify to help more people learn how to make wellness simple.